What's going on, people? It's your boy, Oh Blackman. Welcome back to Eagles Point. I want to do a quick video. Just about to make moves somewhere, so I don't really have the time to set up properly and do everything properly and use my proper camera and stuff. So I'm just going to record this off of my phone. But yeah, real quickly, how to let's keep it basic. How to prophesy, how to receive words from God. I get this question all the time, and so I'm gonna keep it real short and simple for you. I'll give you something very practical, a practical way of doing it. How to receive words from God, how to receive words of knowledge, words of wisdom, all that kind of stuff like that. How I started prophesying. I started prophesying maybe, well, because I'm called to the prophetic office. I've been moving in this aspect for probably since a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months after I got saved. But here's one practical way of doing it: how to receive words from God, how to prophesy, how to start moving in the gift of knowledge, the word of wisdom, the word of wisdom, all that kind of stuff like that. I would say start in the bedroom. And when I say start in the bedroom, what I mean is when you're praying, if you can pray in the Spirit for about 15 minutes. Let me just quickly watch something. Pray in the Spirit for about 15 minutes. And have something that you can take notes on and pay attention to what you feel. So after you've prayed in the Spirit or whatever, just sit and be silent, sit and be still in the presence of God for, just a few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just begin to write down what you feel drop into your spirit, what you feel drop into your heart. Pay attention to the small, still voice, the quiet voice that speaks from within. I would also say that when you're praying for 15 minutes, ask God to speak to you about specific things. If you have, everyone's got friends, but ask God to speak to you about your friends. Ask God to speak to you about your family. Maybe ask God to speak to you about people at your workplace. And so once you've prayed for the 15 minutes, once you're sitting down, once you're being still before God, whatever comes to you, just begin to write it down on a notepad, on your phone or whatever. Just begin to write it down. Just begin to note it down. Then what you do after that is you ask God for confirmation, and God will confirm it in two ways. He'll either confirm it by what he gives you will increase, so I call it increased revelation, or whatever you do, whatever he gives you, whatever you get, whatever you've written down will stay strongly on your heart. So two ways that God confirms his word is, one of the two ways that God confirms his word, there could be many more ways that God confirms, but one of the two main ways that God confirms is he will increase the revelation. So let's say, for example, you say you're praying and God says to you, one of your friends have been crying recently. And as you pray for confirmation, God will increase the revelation. You'll say that one of your friends have been crying because something happened in their family, blah, 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 blah. So that's increased revelation. The second way that God will confirm is that whatever he's told you will stay strongly on your heart. So it doesn't move, it doesn't shift, it stays there. That's one of the ways that I know that God is telling me that something is from him. And after that, you go and you be practical about it. You go and approach the person. Once you feel like this is from God, once you've heard that, once you feel like this is definitely from God, God's confirmed it, whatever, you go and you approach the person, you go and approach the people, and you say, okay, look, I was praying last night. I really feel like God has said something. And you just go and test it out. And this is how it works. You have to test things out. Many people never really move in the gifts of the Spirit. Many people never really move beyond being basic because they're afraid to try things. They're afraid to test things. There's been times where I've got certain things and people have been like, no, not really. And the thing you got to realize about prophecy is that sometimes you're prophesying about things that you haven't even happened yet. So even when you speak to a person, they may have no idea. It may generally be from God, but they have no idea because it hasn't happened yet, or it hasn't registered with them yet. So that's why you have to be very accurate with the revelation that you get. You have to pray. You have to ask God, do I speak this now? Is it something that I just keep to myself? Is it something that I pray about and intercede for and all that kind of stuff like that? But yeah, once you get stuff, you go and you go and test it. You go and ask your mum, is this correct? You go and ask your friend, is this correct? You go and ask your pastor, this is correct. And you miss. If you miss, you miss. If you get it, amen. Every time you miss, it's a chance for you to say, all right, cool. What did I do wrong? Was I hearing myself? Was I hearing, my own? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's just a chance to, tune and prune your gift. After that, I would say the next level, if you really want to start... If you really want to start moving in the prophetic gifts and hearing God's voice and giving people words, the next thing to do is start practicing it live. So if you're in a service, I wouldn't say if you have no authority in a place. When I say no authority, you don't have a position or you're not known to anyone. I wouldn't say go around to the congregation and start giving words. What I would say is, speak to one of your leaders, speak to one of your mentors and say, look, this is what I'm on. I'm trying to practice this gift. Is it okay? And what they should do is they should provide you with a safe environment to practice. So, for example, people at my ministry or whatever, we have times where I just say, look, partner up with someone, pray, what do you hear? Speak it to them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a safe environment. It's weird when you get people going around and giving people private words and all that kind of stuff like that. And if you're missing, you just begin to look like a silly spider. So always make sure you have permission. Always make sure that you have a safe place where your leaders allow you to go and flow like that. And I would say, go into, start practicing it live. When you're in your congregation, when you're in your youth group, when you're around your friends or whatever, ask God to give you words about people. And the heart of the prophetic is not for you to get words so that you can say, yeah, I'm a prophet. Or it's not for you to get words so you can be like, yeah, I'm a big man, I'm a big man, I'm a big man. None of that. The heart of the prophetic is for you to reveal the heart and the mind of the Father towards someone so that they get impacted, so that they get edified, so that they get strengthened, so that they get comforted. So the prophetic gift has nothing to do with you. So if you have a heart of pride, if you have a heart where you want to be exalted and all that kind of stuff like that, that will all work against the prophetic gift, because the prophetic gift is all about revealing the heart and the mind of the Father, not about you having your ego stroked. So you can practice it live in your congregation, you're in church, if you're in an event, if you're in a conference, whatever. Ask God to give you a word. Just go up to a person, approach a person and say, look, I feel like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I feel like God's got this for you. Another stage that I would suggest, and this is something that I'm going to start doing, is going out into the streets, praying for people and telling them what God is saying as you evangelize or whatever. So people that have been out with me have seen this live in action, where I'll be on the streets, I'll be preaching the gospel, whatever, and I just start to prophesy and I'm about to start call out certain things in people's lives and all that kind of stuff like that. That's a very, very good place to practice, because people generally don't care. People generally don't. If you're on the streets and you meet a random, they generally don't care if you miss, or they're just like, if you get it, they're like, what? If you miss it, they're like, They just shrug it off and keep on going. So I would say another way to practice, to giving people words in practice, tuning your ear to the mind and the heart of God, is to go out in the streets, pray for people, tell them what God is saying, and just move like that. So yeah, this is a quick one-on-one how to start moving in the gift of prophecy, word of knowledge, word of wisdom, and all that kind of stuff like that. Go and test it out. Yeah, your boy, Old Blackman, real simple video, real quick thing. Prophecy one-on-one, let's get it in. All the best. May God bless you. Let's do it.